Hey everyone, it's Jenny at JC Cards. Have you ever looked at the glitters and wow sparkles and earth sparkles in your stash and wished that you could use them with your stencils? Well, I'm going to show you how you can today. I'm featuring 3 different card projects, all of which use the earth sparkles to add some glitter and glitz to them. If you're not familiar with the earth sparkles, they come in these little pots and they are biodegradable glitters, so a little bit more friendly for Mother Earth. And I'm going to be using them with these 3 stencils today. They are this Erin Creative stencil, which is called Scandinavian stencil, this sphere stencil from Altenew, and this floral stencil from Gina. And the secret to my card projects today is spray adhesive. I'm using this Krylon adhesive. You do want to use permanent spray adhesive. This is not the tacky stuff that you can use to just temporarily adhere stencils. It's permanent and it allows you to stencil with that spray adhesive, remove your stencil, and then you have a perfect outline that you can add your glitter to. I'm starting off with the Erin Creative Scandinavian stencil and Anemone Earth Sparkles, which is a really pretty purple mix. I'm using some scrap printer paper just to protect my work surface when I spray the adhesive, and then when I remove the stencil I do go and dunk it in the sink just to try and get some of that sticky tackiness off. And then shake over my glitter, catch it in some more printer paper, and I can use that to funnel the glitter back into the tub so there's very little wasted. I do recommend doing this in a well ventilated area. I have an open window. Some people like to use this spray adhesive outside. I don't mind it too much, and I didn't notice any fumes, but just be careful. You read the instructions. I've linked to a couple of different spray adhesives because the version I'm using, the Krylon, wasn't available at the time that I made this video, but there are lots of different types. You just want to make sure that you get permanent adhesive. Now I also use a blusher brush, there's a makeup brush, just to brush away any stray flecks of the glitter and make sure that what's remaining is well adhered. Now glitter is opaque, so you can also do this on dark coloured cardstock. Here I'm using the sphere stencil from Altenew. That was the original inspiration for this technique. I thought it looked a little bit like a disco ball, and I've already made this once before using some silver earth sparkles. I like to put it off at an angle, but just be sure to mask off any corners of the cardstock that are still exposed because the stencil isn't over the top of them. And then I sprayed again. You probably don't need to spray quite as much as I am here, but I just want to make sure that the glitter is properly adhered. And then I am now using the Calamari Earth Sparkles, which is a really kind of pretty pale gold colour. And I thought that would look really cool against that black, really sparkly and bling. And then I'm just catching it again in the printer paper, tipping it off, and then any stray flecks I'm going to brush off with a blusher brush. And this blusher brush, that's really hard to say. I think I got this in an Ipsy makeup bag a long time ago. Just any sort of thick brush, soft bristles that you can find. It won't damage your pattern. This glitter adheres really well to permanent spray adhesive, as you can see. Now you might get the odd stray fleck after you've given it to the recipient. It's not as permanent as embossing powder once you've heated and melted it, but it's pretty good. So a little bit of glitter here and there, especially when you're using the earth sparkles, isn't too bad. Now for my final card, I'm using this floral stencil from Gina Designs, and I'm going to adhere it at an angle again, so I'm using some masking tape. This is purple tape, and then I'm going to ink blend it first. So I'm using a couple of different ink colours. This is a purple colour from Altenew, and then I've got a bluish greenish ink from Altenew as well for the leaves. So I'm doing a 2-tone stencil here. I really love this image. I've used it a couple of times on different cards. And then before I remove my stencil, I'm then going to come in with my spray adhesive. This was a little bit of an experiment because I didn't know what it would do to the ink below, but it didn't seem to make any difference at all. One tip I would suggest for this technique is that if you're going to be covering over your ink blending with a semi-translucent glitter, then you'll want to use much brighter colours than you want to appear on the final card. And that's exactly what I've done here. So you can see my ink blending was pretty heavy-handed. And then I'm coming in with the Beluga Earth Sparkles, which is a sparkly iridescent white glitter. It is white, but it does allow that ink blending to show through slightly. It very much lightens the colour, but it's still really easy to see those colours showing through that glitter. And it gets this really nice effect that, because it's kind of crunchy like glitter is, instead of embossing powder, once it's melted, is much smoother and more sheeny, then you get this really nice effect that I haven't been able to achieve using embossing powder or even embossing glitters. And I am using, for my base cardstock on this one, this is Spicy Yogurt cardstock from Altenew, which is a really nice mottled, rustic cardstock. So to finish off, I'm just going to stamp this sentiment, also from Gina Designs, in the Camellia stamp set in Obsidian Pigment Black ink directly onto that card panel. I'm going to round one of the corners just to add a little bit of interest on what is a clean and simple card, just to finish it off. Now my second card, I am going to finish off with this Stay Weird stamp set. I really love this, it's very me, from Erin Lee Creative, and I'm going to use the Born to be Awesome sentiment from the set. I'm using a scrap of white cardstock here, and I'm going to treat it with my powder tool because I'm going to use some heat embossing on this one, and I don't want stray powder sticking where I don't want it. And then going to ink up the stamp with Wow Embossing ink, and then I'm going to be heat embossing using this brand new Toteally amazing trio. The embossing powder I'm using is Gilded, which is just so pretty. It's opaque. It's a mix of kind of white, clear, gold powders. Hard to explain. It's like pale, antique looking, really pretty, and still stands out well on white cardstock. So I'm going to heat emboss with that powder, and then to adhere it to the front of my card, I'm going to use foam adhesive, and I am going to cut the sentiment in two just to fit it down the center of my background panel. Just keep it a little bit subtle, and look at that sparkle and shine. Isn't that pretty for my second card? Now to finish my third card, which is our disco ball, I think of it as that, I know it's a sphere, I'm going to use this cool gold holographic cardstock, which is also from Erin Lee Creative, and I'm going to die cut that using the magical die, also from Erin Lee Creative, and then adhere it directly over the front of my sphere. And then I actually, as an afterthought, had this thank you, which I'd heat embossed in Wow Rich Pale Gold embossing powder by Altenew, and I added that to the front with foam tape, and that finishes my final project. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.